Air Terminal accommodates over 1.5 million passengers annually and has enjoyed 27% growth since 2010. Great work, Kevin. Chandler is the largest general aviation airport in the Central San Joaquin Valley of California and serves as a reliever for Fresno Air Terminal. Mr. Michael has served Fresno airports for 15 years. During his tenure with Fresno airports, 150 million of work has been completed, such as runways, taxiways, rental car, terminal, and international arrival facilities, and an ongoing noise mitigation program and numerous sustainability initiatives, including a solar farm that provides 74% of the airport's energy needs. Mr. Kevin Michael has a Bachelor of Science degree in architecture from Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. He is a licensed architect and has 35 years of experience in the design and construction industry. Please help me welcome Mr. Kevin Michael, Director of the airport. It's cutting. We need to.
Oh, thank you. Too kind. And Dora, thank you for that. And we've even grown more since that. We're closer to 40% growth now. We have Frontier Airlines, who started earlier this year, come back 3.0. Hopefully that'll stay, and I think it will. And Sandra, thanks for being here. I had the opportunity to stop by the Congressman's office in D.C. in October. I met with his chief of staff and gave him an update at the airport, including what all of you are going to see here in just a few minutes. So thanks for being here. My lifeline. Okay, so a little bit of background, but I really want to take a few minutes and talk about our future and then have time for any questions that you may have. So this is a map showing, and we do zip code studies, so we know where, the airlines know where people come from to buy tickets, and it really is up and down the valley. And what's not shown on here is we have more and more clientele coming in from the Central Coast area of California. Salinas, King City, San Luis Obispo, Santa Maria, Paso Robles area, just because the drive time is actually probably shorter when you talk about driving to an LAX or a San Francisco, and the convenience of just getting through, if nothing else, just getting through the checkpoint, right? So we know that. Just by numbers real quickly, the airport's owned by the city of Fresno, but the residents, the users of the airport for the city of Fresno is a minority user of the airport. 59% of the users of the airport don't live in the city of Fresno. They're from Clovis, Visalia, Hanford, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we really are a regional transportation hub. I threw this up here just to give you a sense of the growth that we've seen since we came out of the Great Recession in 2010, which is here at the far left of the screen. And the solid line is kind of where we're at today, where we ended up in 816,000. That was the fiscal year ending in this last June. We've just finished a 20-year master plan. And so we projected what we think the growth is going to be in the future, and you can see that upward trend. And that's happening with new destinations, larger aircraft, which I think we've all experienced, and some new airlines. And we think that trend is going to continue. But that's not necessarily what it looks like at other regional airports in the United States. In some regional airports, it's a downward slope. They're losing service, or it's just flat, right? So we have the benefit of being somewhat isolated from the LA basin and the San Francisco Bay Area in terms of just drive time. So, and the airlines recognize that, and so they've been responding to the need that we have here in the valley. Economic development. I like to share these numbers, and this is based on actually 2017, so it's a little bit dated. But just so you know, just FAT, not Chandler Airport, about 9,170 jobs is what induced, direct and indirect, is what's created by the existence of the airport, and $776 million of annual economic activity. Pretty substantial. We're probably pushing over 800 million now with this growth we've had just in the last 12 months. And just for a little more context, Chandler Airport, we can't forget about that airport. It's a small airport. It's obviously not commercial, but it's a busy little airport, and by itself, it generates 137 jobs and $12 million of annual economic activity. Just Chandler Airport. And so in the last 12 months, and that growth, Frontier Airlines has showed up. You've heard the news about Chicago. United showed up, and they did so well. They were so happy. We knew they would do well. They're coming back at the end of March instead of June with mainline full-size aircraft, not the small aircraft. And right now, we're working on their aircraft scheduling, which is kind of a system-wide, nationwide exercise to try and free up aircraft so they can eventually turn this into permanent year-round service, not seasonal. And so we're crossing our fingers that they can find, arguably, I would say, the last chunk of land we've got available to put surface parking in. It's about 8 acres, and it's over here on the far right of your screen. We're going to add about 650 to 700 additional stalls and relocate some employee parking to make some more close-in parking for the public, a new and expanded cell phone waiting lot. This is a critical project because we've done some parking studies. We're already out of parking today. Today, we are. But we've done a master plan, and we've identified a large parking project, not this one. And this project will bridge us between now and what I anticipate being 4 years from now, and I'll explain that in a minute, with regard to meeting our parking needs. That's why this is critical. It's an immediate need. It's in design right now. We'll be under construction in the spring. The goal is to have this new parking area, and it's kind of like a remote economy, and we're going to look at repricing everything, but the goal is to have this thing up and running before the summer hits. So we can do it, fingers crossed. So that's the two kind of what the public sees that we've been working on immediately. So we did complete a 20-year master plan, and it said some things that we kind of intuitively saw out there. And it has recommendations going out 20 years, but really our focus is the next 4 to 5 years. And this is what it's saying. In the next 4 years, when I say 4 years, that means it's up and running. It's not let's think about it, let's get it designed, let's get it ready to pull the trigger. No, it means designed, bid, constructed, and usable in 48 months. So 3-level parking structure of 900 stalls, about 41 million we've calculated. A terminal expansion, again in 48 months, to add 2 new gates, a brand new international arrivals facility that will more than double our capacity of what we have today. Because I will tell you, the Mexican carriers are just, they're busting at the seams. They want to add flights. Customs and Border Protection says no. They only have so many resources available, and the facility we have now is maxed out because the facility we have now is dictated, its use is dictated by Customs and Border Protection. We only allow flights 90 minutes apart. We can't have more than so many people in there at the same time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a big part of this project, a new international arrival facility. The third component of our program, which actually totals about close to $200 million, is there's some airfield work we have to do. We're going to rebuild the main runway and other safety enhancements on the airfield. So this is what the master plan is telling us, and a lot of it intuitively we're just seeing out there on a daily basis. This is a big deal. This is the biggest capital program in the history of the airport. But this is what growth means, and this growth is coming from the economy and what's happening in the up and down the valley. You know, we have to be able to accommodate that growth, and it's absolutely a two-way street when we attract new businesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just real quickly, I know you can't see this, but it's just a conceptual drawing of a parking structure that's right out front of the terminal. And the addition to the actual terminal itself, you're not really going to see it. It's behind the scenes because it's baggage handling. It's expanding the checkpoint to up to 5 or 6 lanes instead of just the crammed in 3. It's a baggage handling activity. New gates associated with a new international arrivals facility. So, and then there's some airfield work you see in the red, reconfiguration of the airfield to make it more efficient. So that's kind of a graphic a very conceptual snapshot that came out of the master plan process. So, how do we get there? How do we accommodate the region's, the valley's growth? We did a financial feasibility analysis. First of all, we're an A-rated airport from the rating agencies. There's only about half a dozen airports in the United States, smaller airports like ours, that have an A rating. So we're doing very well financially. Second of all, we have these metrics, the industry metrics that we have to maintain and we have to meet. How much do we charge the airlines? Are we charging them too little? Should we charge them more? Can't charge them too much. They're going to take their toys and go somewhere else, right? They're very expensive toys. So there's metrics we have on that. We have to have a certain amount of money in the bank. The rating agencies require us to have 365 days of operating reserve in the bank. We have to do that. And of course, we have to continue to fund. We have to keep the facility up. We got to keep it going. We got to change out air conditioners and do this and do this. So we have these metrics we have to follow. Then what we did is we did some right sizing of these projects. I mean, initially the master plan talked about a bigger parking garage. We said, no, hold on. What about autonomous vehicles? What about the TNCs like Uber and Lyft? What's the industry going to be looking like in 10 years from now, in 15 years from now? How much do we really need? How much can we afford? Et cetera. So the whole dynamic. So we're going to grow. The passengers are going to be there, but are they really going to behave the same way as they have historically with the drive to the airport, parking in the parking lot? Is that really going to happen? So we've right-sized the project, not overextending ourselves, doing something that may be an unknown in 20 years from now or 15 years from now. From all that, we developed a financial plan to get there. We analyzed our own internal finances. Where can we save money? Are we undercharging? Are we overcharging? So, financial path to growth. Here's what we did. And again, this is all conceptual at this point, and it's an exercise to, can we really do this? And really, it's not an option to do it. We have to do it. We have to accommodate the region's growth. So the plan moving forward is to negotiate new airline lease and operating agreements to be consistent with the industry. What should they really be paying here? Because here's the thing. Airports are user fee business entities. They generate revenue to operate the airport, okay? It's very different than any other city department. It operates in a kind of a free market in its environment, and it's that way by federal regulation. So we don't have a choice. We have to do it this way. So there's these metrics we have. How much do we charge? Not too much, not too little. Well, we're only charging 2.5%. And when I say 2.5% is the airlines charge their airfares, and the airfares is based on what the public is willing to pay. It has nothing to do with what they pay us or what they have to pay for fuel or what they pay salaries to pilots. It has nothing to do with that. Airfares are based on what the market bears. So they know what that is. They know if it's too high, people aren't going to fly. They know if it's too low, their competition is going to be all over them. So they know what the airfare should be, whether it's buying a ticket next day or a month out, whatever it is. They're very sophisticated in that area. All that said, 2.5% of the airfare, and they pull out about, I don't know, about $150 million in airfare out of our airport that they get, right? So they pay us about 2.5%. We're well below the industry standard. So we know there's room for us to generate more revenue from the airlines without having them raise any red flags. So we know there's some opportunity there, and the airlines have already acknowledged, Yes. You need to grow. Yes. We feel what you are planning on doing is necessary. And yes, we believe we should be paying what's our fair share. The next thing we're looking at is ground transportation. We're arguably, we may be, I can't say this definitively, the only airport in the United States, commercial airport, that does not charge anything for ground transportation. When I say ground transportation, I'm talking about hotel shuttles, taxis, TNCs like Uber and Lyft. Only we don't charge. So what does that mean? That means people, the airlines, people who park in the public parking lot are subsidizing multi-billion-dollar corporations for using airport infrastructure. So there's metrics out there as how much should they be paying. Not that it's a lot, but how much should they be paying? So our plan is to put a ground transportation program in place so we can capture that revenue in a fair way so that you don't have any group of user subsidizing somebody who's not paying anything. Why should I pay $8 a day in long-term parking and you have a $100 billion corporation like Uber using your infrastructure for free, right? So we need to make sure everybody does pay at least their fair share. This is not a cost to the end user. This is a cost to the corporation, whether it's the Marriott Corporation, where they're doing their shuttles to the airport. Every airport in the United States has fee structures in place to accommodate this use because we have to maintain the infrastructure. We pay for it. Zero tax dollars pay for the airport. It's all on the airport and the money that it makes just to run and keep it up and to grow the airport. And that's a good thing. No tax dollars at all are used at the airport. If the airport had to be subsidized, the FAA, the feds would step in and say, what's going on, what's wrong? You need to modify your fee structure so that you are not being subsidized. And so we're in the fortunate position that we are compliant with those federal regulations. The third piece is parking. I hate to even say this, but I have to say it. $8 a day is one of the lowest in the country, and I don't think we're going to be at $8 a day anymore when we have to build a 900-stall garage. That said, my goal is to keep an $8 option at the airport still, even though it's really low, keep it. And maybe it'll be an economy lot, right? So you still have the option. But if you want to park in the garage, obviously it can't be $8, right? So we're looking at that. And we're looking at additional offerings. Maybe frequent user permit, maybe valet, and of course covered parking, which we don't have today. And we're looking at operational efficiencies. There are some contracts that we outsource. Are we paying too much for those? Can we go to a different vendor for some of that and reduce our costs? So there's a lot of moving parts. But when we put all this together and follow the industry standards, our growth plan is doable. There's our timeline. We've already started airline engagement. A funding package without any commitment we're going to be submitting in December. Environmental process, CEQA and NEPA, we're going to start that in February. Design work, July. Begin construction in 2021. 18-month construction window. So who thinks that's really doable? I do. We just got to keep focused. This is doable. And to me, this is not an option. We did a parking study, and we said, well, what happens in 2022? We run out again. What happens when you build a parking garage? You're going to lose 400 stalls just in construction. Where do you put those people? That's why this project we're doing now for the next spring is so important. So I'm going to summarize real quickly because I want time for questions, and of course Larry's going to get up and talk about all kinds of other good stuff. But the summary is that we've got to grow to accommodate the demand, right? We are significant. The airport is a significant economic engine. The master plan update, which is online, by the way, confirms just what we're experiencing. I mean, there wasn't any real surprises in there, but there were a few surprises. For example, it said, your baggage claim is fine. I'm thinking, really? But it is. They have lineal feet of baggage and all this kind of thing. And your ticket counter positions are okay. I'm thinking, really? Even after 20 years of growth, you think so? But so far, so good on those fronts. Expansion program is confirmed feasible, meaning within reasonable financial limits, without overextending ourselves, without overcharging airlines, without overcharging the public using the parking lot. This is doable. It's doable, meeting the region's demand, and that's what's key. Meeting the region's demand is doable in a responsible, reasonable, and fiscally prudent manner, and that's the key. To me, that's a green light to keep moving forward. If it wasn't, we'd be taking some steps back and reanalyzing and so forth and so on. Anyway, I'm going to stop because you may have some questions, but also it'll be a great segue into our next speaker. So Uber decided they didn't want to comply with the operating agreement that we have in place. They did sign it, but then they refused to comply with it. So we don't have Uber. We did in the beginning. We have Lyft. Lyft is it's an operating agreement we have that's consistent with really the industry. Lyft has been great to work with. There's no problems with them. People ask me, how come you don't have Uber? And I say, are you talking about shared rides? Yeah, we have it. It's Lyft. So we're going to get Uber back. Yes, they're coming back. I'm going to guess we'll get them back in sometime first half of this coming year. And what's interesting is when Uber decided to leave, Lyft immediately took up that market share. The number, in fact, have even exceeded that since then. So the number of people using shared ride continues to be strong. There's ride-sharing signs at the airport in terms of where you can pull up or drop off, pick up, both, and it's curbside. It's real convenient. It doesn't go into brands. I mean, there's more companies out there besides Uber and Lyft. It doesn't go into that at all. They have geofences, and so what Uber did is Uber turned off their fence. If somebody wants to go to the airport, they can't until that gets turned back on, which it turns on when they get back with the agreement. So, and it's somebody's choice if they still want to take Uber instead of Lyft and then walk across the street, sure, they can do that. But we always have Lyft. Okay, so that's not related to construction. That was related to us internally finding ways to save money the way we do business. So we have third-party contracts to provide certain services for us. Okay, and so we're saying, can we do better? And let me give you one example. So the airport has its own firefighting unit. It's not like City of Fresno Fire Department. It's not structures. It's specifically geared. It's FAA-driven, specifically geared to aircraft rescue and firefighting. Well, when you have an airport that's co-located with a military operation like our F-15s, the Air National Guard, and this, for example, happens in Albuquerque, and there's other locations in the United States, they'll provide that service for free to the airport, free. They already have everything there. They're trained. They understand the environment. We pay $1.3 million a year a contract with our fire department to do that. It's still our responsibility. It's for staffing. Well, what does $1.3 million a year in our budget mean to the parking rate that we may have to charge, to the airlines that we may have to charge? Does it mean instead of $13 for long term, it's only $12? Right? Does it mean instead of, $10 per passenger that the airlines pay us, is it now $9? So that's why we're looking at all that. I think, good question. I think never. So it's basically an international identifier. and it's for the pilots and the controllers, really, is what it is. And the airport has attempted to, and the city has attempted to in the past, and get shot down every time. This is no. Now we don't even say FYI anymore. We're FAT, and we say Fresno Yosemite International. Yeah, that's who we are. Even the FAA says that's who we are, but we're just FAT. So we're embracing. That's why that's why we've kind of branded this program Fat Forward.
Thank you. I think we're. Thank you so much. Wow, there's so much that Kevin is doing at the airport, and I'm very very happy that the airport is self-sustainable and he's been growing it, and it's just an amazing. So thank you so much. Let's give him another round of applause for the amazing work he's doing at the airport. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker. I know I shouldn't be reading the bio, but anyways, he is the Director of Economic Development for the city of Fresno. He was appointed in 2014 by Mayor Ashley Swearingen, and he's currently serving as Economic Development Director for the city of Fresno under Mayor Lee Brand. And he went to Cal Poly, and he under an athletic scholarship, and he graduated. And he served for the city of Fresno for 8 years as a council member. And he was a Navy reserved. Well, he was, he was, I guess, a Navy reserve officer, and then he, after 25 years, he retired from the Navy in 2012. And what else? What else I can tell you about him? And then I think, no. Because I haven't said the most important part of besides work. I think the most important part is that he is the father of Zoe, who is 9, and William, who is 6. And the best part of all, that he is married to me. So yes, see, I had to say that. So without further ado, please welcome Larry Westerland.
Yes, thank you very much. That is the best part. Every morning, it is the best part. So thank you very much, sweetheart. Thank you. So good morning. As I have been so well introduced, I'm Larry Westerland, Director of Economic Development for the city. I think I've seen some of all of you once or a couple of times. Who has not been here for this before? This is the second year we've done it. Okay, so there are some folks. So good. Thank you very much for being here and braving the conditions. We love the rain, and so glad it's coming down. We need it dearly. I did want to thank Kevin and all the work that the airport is doing out there. They're doing a terrific job, and it really is a jewel for our community. I hope folks can utilize it whenever you can, and we'll continue to see that to grow and thrive. So I'm excited to be here. I got to tell you, I've been around this organization now for at least 11, 12 years, so I feel comfortable coming and talking to you today and share with you a little bit about the status of where we are in economic development, where we're seeing growth and some opportunities in the future, and to answer some questions, hopefully, while I do that. First things first, and most important things, I'm just going to go ahead and hit that. So I was at the International Economic Development Council in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia, in October, and sat all day through a long series, thank you, Kevin, of seminars and went for a long walk after that, and I felt, I deserve a drink. I think I could have a lemonade, right? Not alcoholic, I wouldn't do that. And so I hopped into the Ritz-Carlton on the drive in Atlanta, Georgia. And lo and behold, they had the Fresno firecracker. And I'm like, hey, Fresno, we are on the map. I hate it when everybody says, this is going to put Fresno on the map. We've been on the map for a while. And every time I keep hearing, hey, it's finally going to put Fresno on the map. If you are at the Ritz-Carlton and you are a margarita at the Ritz-Carlton called a Fresno firecracker, you are definitely on the map. So the other thing, I don't know if you can see this here, Fresno firecracker. Fresno and jalapeno infused areta blanco, agave, cilantro, and fresh lime juice. It was hot and it was good. So I'll just put it down. Yes, it is the Mexican side of things. The other thing is, and the reason I put a drink at the beginning of my presentation, is it is a salute to all of you folks that are in the private sector. Salute to the work that you do, for the growth that we've seen in the last number of years. I occasionally hear people who do economic development say how many jobs they created. And every time I bite my tongue and it starts to bleed, because people who do my job don't create jobs. We don't create jobs. Sometimes we help facilitate, sometimes we help you get through the process, but we're not job creators. The private sector is the job creators. And you, the folks that do that work, thank you for doing that. Thank you for providing jobs to the families that need those jobs to provide for their children a place to live. So salute to you, and have a Fresno firecracker on me. So the state of economic development for the city of Fresno and for the Central Valley, by and large, is going very well. It's been terrific. We have seen a tremendous amount of growth. We've seen a considerable drop in our unemployment, and that's what these kind of numbers say. But if you look at it and you go, well, hold on one second. So California is a 4% unemployment. Holy cow, San Jose's 2.6% unemployment. You get down there, San Francisco 2.3, and Fresno County is at 6.3, and the city itself, just the city itself, is 5.3 in the latest numbers. That doesn't sound really terrific to me, right? I mean, we're not nearly doing as well as some of the other parts of the rest of the state. Well, to understand that, though, you have to understand where we've been and where we are at, generally speaking, in the entire economic cycle. I don't know how many of you, when you took economics at college, but I remember my professor saying, about 4 or 5% unemployment means that's full employment. The whole standard was that if we had gotten to that level, there's no more job growth. I mean, that is pretty much just the regular cycle through. And so it is amazing that California has gotten to 4%. It is truly amazing that the United States is at 3.7, 3.2 in that range here. But to understand why the economic development and economics of Fresno is doing so well, you need to see the next slide. When we are at 6.3% to 5%, you have to look at that in terms of chronic unemployment over the last 18 to 28, 38 years. So you'll see them on the graph where we were at in 1992, upwards towards 14, 15, 16% unemployment. We headed down in the go-go of the 2006, 2007, before the Great Recession that hit. We actually got down into the sevens. I remember being absolutely thrilled. I was on the city council at the time going, wow, we've actually broken below the double-digit unemployment. We're actually in the sevens. That's terrific. And then what we've hit now, way down over here, is really remarkable. I grew up in Fresno. I was born here in 1966 in the old St. Agnes. My family had a box company, made boxes for produce. And so I've been through Seeing all of this over that years. And so I want to thank again you. I'm just so excited that Fresno has gotten where we're at, but we're not done yet. We need to keep working. We need to get where the state is at and below where the state is at. And of course, that is the goal of my boss, Mayor Brand, and his initiative to do 10,000 jobs over the 8 years. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, he gets to help the city. He's in his finishing up the end of his second year right now. So that's what we're pushing for, and I think you'll see that we're making some progress on that. So, I don't know if anybody's heard about Amazon coming to Fresno. I hope it got you. Ulta Beauty, maybe Ulta Beauty got to you. Okay, some folks like Ulta Beauty. I see some heads nod. And then the Gap. So we had, excuse me, the last major expansion project that the city of Fresno had that was of some note was the Gap in 1999 that came to Fresno. And in that about 16, 17 years, really business attraction, Fortune 500, major expansions or attractions, really nothing that had come of that size or scale. Plenty of local companies have done great work and continue to expand, but it tends to be kind of organic, slower growth, 10 jobs here, 5 jobs here, 15 jobs. And we support and we love those companies. I spend more of my time working on our local companies growing and expanding what they do than I do on these. These are the sexy ones, these are the big ones, these are the ones that draw headlines. But it's those local companies that continue to do great work, that continue to make progress and provide jobs and grow the economy here. But back on the sexy ones for a little while. They have come in and have done some really terrific things. And this is where they're doing it at. This is part of where we call the Fresno Industrial Triangle. Maybe I'm the only one who calls it the Fresno Industrial Triangle. But just so you kind of have some idea, Highway 99 here, Highway 41 over there. This is Central Avenue. That's North Avenue. So this is an area where the city had preloaded some of the utilities, some of the water and the sewer, which made it ripe for being able to do industrial development. And that's one of the things that we're continuing to work on is where can we go for our next industrial park. Surprisingly enough, and you don't have to tell people outside of Fresno, we don't have enough industrial space. Surprisingly, that 20 acres of Thompson Seedless is not ready for industrial development. So that's why this has been so important and the infrastructure that was put in place to do that. So as you'll see, Ulta Beauty is here. Amazon in 855,000 square feet is there. We've got Valley-Wide Beverage. They moved to their new facility. They were a high-speed rail impacted company. They moved and expanded another 80 jobs when they did that. And then we have the areas in the red are where we have maps that have come in for more industrial properties. Altogether, in the red and the maps that have been initially submitted, doesn't mean they'll actually be built, but have been submitted, we've got another 4.1 million square feet in paper. We're going to see some of those come. We've got one right now. These three are, in fact, up 512,000 square feet with John Brailsford and Diversified Development Group. And so this area should grow out and be really the premier industrial park in the Central Valley, anywhere between Sacramento, maybe Stockton, they might argue that, and Bakersfield. So this is where we're seeing a lot of growth. It's this property here, the Caglia property, that is a subject to a lawsuit that you might have read a little bit about. Because that's in active litigation, I won't touch on that. But the only reason is really for that is there's about 11 homes over here that are across the street and across the canal on Central Avenue. And that's one of the reasons we have some issues sometimes with the county, is we don't want the county to allow growth in areas that really should be developed in industrial. This has been slated for industrial since the late 1980s. And I think those homes probably were in existence even before that. But that's why we like to see the growth go towards where it's slated to go for within the city itself. So anyway, 4.1 million square feet coming down the line, and so we're really excited about that. So a little bit about fulfillment. Does anybody know what the difference between a distribution center and a fulfillment center? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. So a distribution center is what we had with the Gap for the last 20 years. They fill boxes that'll have 20 sweaters that go to the Gap store in San Luis Obispo, or 45 ties, or whatever it is. So it's sending large boxes of multiple things to a store. Fulfillment centers are different. That's where I ordered this tie. The tie is picked, packaged, and sent directly to me. So it's much more labor intensive because they're taking individual items, putting them in a package, sending it to an individual, rather than sending 40 of them to a store. So with Amazon, they now have about 3,000 employees. They're probably higher than that right now because they're in the mix for the Christmas holiday rush. They tell us that they will get as high as 5,000 employees during the holidays, and where that's at today. Ulta Beauty's over 800 now, and then the Gap on that particular expansion project, they moved their fulfillment operation from Phoenix, Arizona to Fresno. And they had extra space in the distribution center out by the airport, and they've put an additional 300 plus jobs in their fulfillment center there. So they'll do both distribution and fulfillment. So why fulfillment center jobs, and why does that make sense? So let me get a little bit more into it, because we have people who ask questions. Well, why are we getting these jobs that are $13, $14, $15 an hour? And why can't we get the higher jobs? And I'm going to answer that in a second. But let me come back. First of all, that $15 an hour job. So Amazon, a couple of months ago, said they were going to go ahead and move everything to $15 an hour ahead of when the state's going to require it in a couple of years. But those $15 an hour jobs come with something that other minimum wage jobs usually don't come with, and that's with benefits. And these are the typical packages that you see for Amazon, for Ulta, and for the Gap. So when you add in the benefit package, that 15-hour job, which is usually an entry-level job, that's what you come in at, also includes, whatever the price or the benefit package includes, which makes it really closer to probably a 19 or 20 hour, a $20 an hour job when you do that. And so those are good jobs in this market. So why is that the case? So, and I would point out, Amazon also has this career choice program that is kind of interesting. They will pay up to 95% of your tuition if you want to go get a city college degree or some sort of certificate. I think they'll pay up to $3,000 a year to go do that. So they're looking for their employees to grow and to expand and not be there always. So we like that. We like that side of it. So part of the reason why we have fulfillment center jobs, and we did when we did some incentive packages for them, we had people come up and say, why are we incentivizing $15-hour job, $1 an hour job? And this is really the reason why. The reason why is the skill set of our unemployed folks are at that level at this time. Would we like to be there? Do we want to have that? No, we want to go for the higher paying jobs. We want to get more technology driven jobs. But the skill set of when we were 14% unemployment, it was about 25,000 people unemployed in the city of Fresno. We're now down to about 12,000 unemployed on a regular basis. But the reason why we're not able to get those higher paying jobs, the ones that we'd like to get from the Bay Area, is this. So when a company comes in, they look at a area to go into, they will do their workforce study before they ever pick up the phone, before they ever call their consultant, or they ever talk to anybody. They're not going to come in and put a $10 million or a $100 million facility if they don't know where they're going to get their workers from. And one of the data points that they will look at is the occupational employment statistics for the areas that they're looking at. And in this column right here is the location quotient. And the location quotient shows you how many of a particular job category we have in this metropolitan statistical area, and given what it is based on a national basis. So when you're looking to grow engineering jobs, you're looking, the sweet spot is somewhere between a 2.0 and a 4.0, somewhere in there. 2.0 means there's not enough of those candidates to be available and be around. 4.0 is higher than you want to. When you look at where Fresno's at, you see electrical engineers a 0.35. You see electronic engineers except computers 2.0. You look down here, industrial engineers 0.15. So if we want to change the narrative, if we want to change the trajectory of where we are economically, not be fulfillment center jobs or food processing jobs or packaging jobs, we need to change those numbers. Or we need to be able to at least have an answer on a pipeline on how we're going to provide the kind of jobs that they need. And that's one of the things that we've been in discussions with Fresno State, Steve Merced, on how can we open the aperture for the number of engineering and technical jobs, State Senator Community College as well. How do we open up that so that we're a better candidate for some of the companies that all that hyperactivity is happening in the Bay Area? And so that's one of the things that we're working on, because we probably have 3 or 4 more large fulfillment center kind of opportunities before we're pretty well tapped out for the workforce that we have. So we need to put ourselves in the position to be able to go for higher jobs and up the economic food chain. So I would encourage you, as you talk with your kids, as you support Fresno State, hey guys, we need you to get into the engineering. The STEM-based majors are incredibly important, and we're going to be engaging Fresno State and the CSU system to try to open up that at Fresno State. So that's a little bit about why we're getting the jobs that we are, for those of you who might have that question. And we'd sure like to have that still happen while we continue to build on this, changing these numbers. So a little bit about the Bay Area. And I've, in the 5 years that I've been doing this, I've been going back and forth and trying to figure out how do we get those companies up there to look down here. And we have gotten some good starts. We've gotten some good ag tech related companies down here. We've got Bitwise. They're doing God's work downtown. We really appreciate that. Am I okay on time, sweetie? Just okay, a few more minutes. So anyway, just so you know, there are lots of folks that are in the Bay Area, technology workers, that are looking to leave the Bay Area. So one of the pitches that we want to make to the companies up there, and when we have talked to them, they shake their head politely and say thanks for coming, is that a lot of those technology workers are millennials who are now having children, who now want to get away from having 5 or 6 roommates in a 2-bedroom apartment. So that's a little bit about that. I gotta show you this. So I was looking at this. That's a 897 square foot house in Palo Alto. Without looking over in the left-hand corner, how much can you think it was listed for? Now, I just, to give you a heads up, it's really nice inside. It's all hardwood floors, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. 1 million. Good guess. Not even close. Not even close. It listed for $2.59 million in Palo Alto. Just to kind of give you a heads up, right? This is under 1,000 square feet, one bedroom, okay? But it is nice inside. They did a nice job. So this one down here, this is in San Jose. It's been burned out for 2 years. Guess how much it listed for? No, not even close. $800,000. But the best part is it sold for $938,000. Cash, all cash offer. So it's 6,500 foot lot. So it was really more about the lot than that. So when you look at the lifestyle and what you got to pay for it to get into a house in the Bay Area and those particular locations and what you can do in Fresno, there's just no comparison. There's just not. So the other thing, on a up note, we were very excited about high-speed rail. You know, we read a lot about them, and good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, they'll get it done because they're doing it right through us, as you see. But once that does, you should be able to go from downtown Fresno to downtown San Jose in 52 minutes, which would change our complexion considerably in our ability to attract folks. And it's 91 minutes, I think, to San Francisco. But we don't want to be the commuter city. We're not commuting. What we want the office down here. The executive can come down and meet with their office folks here and then go back and see their kids play soccer at the end of the day. So we're hoping that one's going to continue. And I don't think arriving in 2025 is accurate anymore. But we'll see with that. And then I'll just mention opportunity zones real quick. So if you got a bunch of money, there is a new program that if you invest in the orange areas, if you sold your stock in General Motors and you made $1 gazillion, or Apple or somebody like that, and you wanted to put it in an opportunity zone, you could defer your capital gains for 10 years. You invest it, hold it for 10 years, and then not have to pay any capital gains in an investment in the opportunity zone. So it's a really new, interesting tool that's coming up, and we're working on that as well. So I will leave it there and open it up for questions. Yes, ma'am. Yes. No, there's not. But we are working on it. I've been talking to our people at Fax. They are redoing their lines right now, and we've asked them to evaluate that. And then we've been looking at doing a shuttle service, maybe to downtown and then shuttle back and forth. But yes, that's something we have been talking about and working on. Yes, sir. Well, they just came out with a whole bunch of the regulations related to it. So if you've done 1031 exchanges before, it's a little bit kind of like that. So you could sell stock, or you could sell another piece of property that has a capital gains on it. Then you go through a qualified opportunity fund, and we're working on, some folks are working on developing an opportunity fund. They then go ahead and invest that into the area, and it could be buying a business, it could be buying property. There are some requirements that you have to improve the property. You can't just buy it and sit on it. But I can get you more information if you're interested after that. Any other questions? All right, if that's it, thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And next, well, thank you so much for coming and giving us this update for the city. And I have to say that no one in the history of the city of Fresno can say that they have um, gone through the process with these three major, projects. So he's great. Let's give him a round of applause for that. And then to continue, we'll just like to introduce you to our new members, and I'm going to bring Norberto, who is our board member. So come on up, Norberto.
So thank you, Larry and Mike, for doing the presentation right now. Every month, we like to thank all the Renew members and all the new members who signed up for our foundation. As you know, being a member, you can join these events, networking, but also creating the relationships you can do right here. So I like to call out all the new members and the Renew members, and if you can come up and do a little, say a little bit about yourself so we can get to know you a little bit more. Sabores Mexican Cocina, SCG Agency, St. Francis Homeless Project, USA Garlic Machinery, and Zuniga Janitorial.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandra Kay, and I am the CEO and founder of the St. Francis Homeless Project. And what we do is we provide a work program and an educational program for women in recovery from drugs and alcohol. And the way we do that is we have partners like West Care of California, Spirit of Women, and mental health care providers that actually put the women through residential and outpatient before they ever come to see us at the St. Francis Project. We have partnered with the Culinary Institute at the Clovis, and they provide us with a kitchen in which we teach the women work skills and training, and we pay them to do that. So we're excited to say that we have graduated 49 with an 87% success rate. The women are working, driving cars, graduating nursing school. I'm not a very good speaker, so I'm a little nervous, but as I say that, one of our graduates is walking in the room right now, and I'd like to introduce Sonia McCraney, who is now 2.5 years clean and sober, going to school, and we're hoping to continue to grow, which we are doing, and with the partnerships of the businesses that we have in this community, people are giving second chances, and we're glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, hello, my name is Sonia McCraney. The St. Francis Homeless Project has really helped me to believe in myself, because this lady here believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. So I've been cleaning out for 2 years. I go to school for my GED. I want to pursue my career and get a PhD, more towards the drug and alcohol field, because I want to help people and help the homeless and the ones that are struggling out there in their addiction. You know, a lot of the homelessness comes from people in their addiction, mental health issues, and just people just give up on them. So I just want to give back to the community and, just do what God put me on earth to do, and is to help people. At the end of the day, 2 years ago, I didn't even know anything about recovery. I met Sandra at West Care, California, and I've been working for her ever since. And I come and speak at engagements like this to show you guys that the program does work, and to let you guys know that that our program is willing to help disadvantaged women. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of women out there that don't have no help in drug and alcohol. It's mostly men. So we want to really help the women to get them back in employment, to school, to give them some kind of hope. Because when we're in our addiction, we don't have no hope. We just lost everything. We don't have lost our kids. Lost everything. The families, everything, and so I was just sharing with this gentleman right here that I'm getting my life back. Like, I'm starting my life over again. I'm finally getting my license. I never had a license. I was never thought I'd be over here with a bunch of rich folks over here in this area speaking with the do-rag on my head, But I was told to take my do-rag off, but I keep it on because that's who I am. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fake it to make it. I'm gonna keep it real. This is who I am, and this is why I'm here, and I'm really grateful to be here for you. Thankful for you guys to have me here and have Sandra here. It's very interesting. I'm learning a lot of stuff because I have a lot of friends that are unemployment or unemployed, and I'm seeing why. You know what I mean? Like the Gap. My friend just got hired at Gap. You know, now I'm seeing why the unemployment, why she got hired, because they moved from over there to over here. You know, and I'm learning a lot of stuff right now. And thank you, and I'll keep coming back. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Alicia Batista. I'm with Sabores Mexican Cocina and Tequila Bar. We're opening tomorrow, and the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation is going to help us do the grand opening on December 12th. So we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. Um, if you're familiar with the DBH, most of you probably already know me as that guy downstairs. Uh, or not. Don't know what he's doing down there. Weird guy. For those of you who don't, my name is Johnny Soto. I am the creative director at the SCG agency. It is a creative branding and advertising agency that specializes in video production. So commercials, films, web promos, music videos, training videos, corporate videos, live streaming. We're live streaming now. Live event coverage, you name it. And what does that mean for me, Johnny? What does that mean for me and my company? Chances are, if you're a company, big or small, at some point you've had or will have a message that you need to communicate to an audience. And we utilize all of the same tools as all of the other advertising and marketing agencies, SEO and social media and target marketing, that kind of thing. But where we excel is storytelling, story. With all of these new tools that have become so easily accessible, in order to distribute your message on such a wide scale, we're forgetting about the most important part, which is the actual message. And we've helped nonprofit organizations and companies raise millions of dollars for various reasons. And we offer also web design, print design, graphic design. If you're a business, small, I know I'm running out of time, you're small or large, and you find yourself needing any branding or advertising. You might be a restaurant and you need a fresh look for the summer. You might be an insurance company dying for a slogan. Please feel free to just reach out. I'm downstairs at the hub. I'm there a lot. And thank you very much for your time.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Maria Palomares, and I have been working in a commercial and residential around 20 years. And Foundation Hispanic, they're having helping me. And well, if you need my service, I'm happy nurse. Um, well, it's all of it. Just feel free to call me or thank you.
Thank you so much. And just to point out that Sabores Mexican Restaurant is where Plaza Ventana used to be on Shaw Avenue, right? Okay, so we'll send all of you the information about the grand opening. And just to wrap it up, we have an event that is Lend a Hand that is coming up, where we partnered up with the Holy Cross Center for Women to provide the kids some toys, and we provide them with food and everything. It's a free event. So if you want to volunteer, if you want to stop by, we'll welcome all of you to be there. And then we'll have the ribbon cutting, and we'll be sending you that information. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and stay safe without the rain. So have a beautiful day today. Bye.
if all the new members can come up here.